at any time. I want to thank all of you for being here. It was in August of this year that the Commerce Department's Office of Inspector General released what I would say is an alarming report detailing the potential time and attendance abuses at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. The OIG compared hours certified as worked by nearly 8,400 patent examiners with data such as records from either virtual private networks or computer workstation records or the like. This comparison actually allowed the OIG to assess that whether or not the hours claimed by examiners were backed up by quantifiable data. The results are shocking. The OIG identified some 288,479 unsupported hours by patent examiners over a 15-month period. Now, these hours equate to $18.3 million in potential waste. 415 of the examiners covered in the analysis had 10% or more of unsupported hours. And indeed, 310 of these examiners received above average annual performance ratings and accounted for nearly 98,000 of the unsupported hours. The unsupported hours could have been helped to reduce patent application backlog, which currently stands at 540,000, or by some 15,990 cases. What is most troubling is the numbers provided by the OIG are a conservative estimate. The OIG wanted to make sure that everything was done in an appropriate manner and actually received the benefit of the doubt when making their analysis. By some less conservative assumptions, we could push the amount of unsupported hours to be nearly twice as high as the OIG reported, and this indeed is unacceptable. The report comes on the heels of a previous OIG investigation into Examiner A. This examiner would often leave work early to play golf, and overall, Examiner A committed to at least 730 hours of time and attendance abuses. This resulted in nearly $25,500 for time not worked. And I want to add is when we have this, it has a chilling effect on other people in the workforce. So conveniently for Examiner A, he or she resigned on the advice from the union before action could be taken against him or her. Now, when the OIG retroactively tested its methodology for the new report on Examiner A's unsupported hours, it received a similar unsupported hour total. This shows that the OIG's methodology accurately measures the unsupported hours. Now, while not necessarily widespread, the OIG's findings do show that at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, internal controls for fighting time and attendance abuse are lacking. The OIG has 6 recommendations that would help safeguard taxpayers from fraud at that agency. They include a requirement that examiners provide their supervisors with work schedules. Examiners use their ID badges to exit the agency and turnstile facilities. And all examiners log into the USPTO network during their working hours while teleworking. Now, these common sense recommendations should be adopted now. Now, while some may argue that the total amount of unsupported hours is less than 2% of the total work hours logged in by patent examiners, even one unsupported hour is too many. The American people deserve better, and I look forward to hearing your testimony on how we can not only address this issue, but make sure that we have an accountable workforce going forward. I'm going to wait and recognize the gentleman from Virginia for his opening statements here in a few minutes, and I'll hold the record open for 5 legislative days for any member who would like to submit a written statement. The chair notes that the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Heiss, will be attending today. He was here earlier. We appreciate his interest in this particular issue. He is here now. I ask unanimous consent that Representative Heiss be allowed to fully participate in today's hearing, and without objection, so ordered. In addition to that, I make unanimous request that we enter into the record the investigative report of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, which would actually be the IG's report, the investigative report, and without objection, so ordered. I'm pleased to actually welcome here the Honorable Russell Slifer, Deputy Undersecretary of Commerce for Intellectual Property and Deputy Director at the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Welcome. Mr. David Smith, Acting Deputy Inspector General at the U.S. Department of Commerce. Welcome, Mr. Smith. Ms. Pamela Schwartz, President of the Patent Office Professional Association. Welcome, Ms. Schwartz. And Dr. David Hsu, Panel Chair of the National Academy of Public Administration. Welcome to you all. And pursuant to committee rules, all witnesses will be sworn in before they testify. So if you would please rise and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated. Please let the record reflect that all witnesses answered in the affirmative. In order to allow time for discussion, please limit your oral testimony to 5 minutes. However, your entire written statement will be made part of the record. And so Mr. Slifer will come to you for 5 minutes.